Well, another guy that's going to be at that All-Star game, old friend, Corey Seager. And there's a situation brewing with Corey Seager that has some fans not very excited. As I said, he said the quiet part out loud. Allegedly. Okay, so the report is a teammate said that Corey feels he wants to win a real, this part was highlighted, real World Series, and he wants to do it over and over again. Smoke, what do you think?
Well, the first thing I would say is that it is from Fox, so it does lead some credence to the whole idea that
point.
It definitely, it's not like it's some random website. I mean, it's a Fox article, so you have to believe there is some truth to him saying that.
Yeah, Fox never lies.
Fox, yeah, exactly. I mean, Fox, that's a different avenue.
Truth in reporting.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say that if there's any truth to it, I think it's pretty much him being a backstabber to the guys that he was playing alongside, the guys in that group chat that went out there and won the Dodgers' first world championship since 1988. But I don't fully believe it. I do believe it. I refuse to believe that Corey said any of this. I don't think that a guy who, let's say Corey Seager was on that team, right?
Yeah.
And he was a role player, a guy who was a part of it but wasn't one of the stars, then maybe he says that. Maybe he hints at that. But this is a guy that won the NLCS MVP, a World Series MVP. Why would he want to discredit his own achievements? That's like a guy who won the Academy Award and said, oh, the rest of the people that were nominated were trash that year, right? Doesn't mean that much. No, you want to build your accomplishments up. Now, do I think that he wants to win a World Series with the Texas Rangers? Absolutely. There's a lot of pressure with that $325 million contract. We know that he's still a young guy. We also know with the new restriction on the shift, he's benefiting from that more than any player in the league right now. He's absolutely raking this year. 179 weighted runs created plus. That's third. Hitting 345 with 10 home runs. Defensively in the 22nd percentile and outs above average, but that's never been his calling card. But I just don't believe he said this. I don't believe he said. I think it was taken out of context.
Yeah. The way it was laid out, it was absolutely laid out or put together by this writer in a way to create this, to have everybody talking about it. Because, this is going around on radio right now. This is going around on TV somewhere. It will be a talking point. And Corey, who hates talking to media, this is going to be another reason why he will never want to talk to media unless he's absolutely forced to, because dumb crap like this happens. But yeah, I think the quote teammate added some sort of inflection because you didn't win the World Series that year, so that makes it less legitimate or whatever, which, yeah, people have mixed feelings on the 2020 World Series championship. Everybody had the same opportunity to win that World Series, so it is a fully legitimate championship because you go back 50, 60, 70 years, there wasn't a National League Division Series. There wasn't a League Championship Series. You didn't play 162 games. Years change, seasons change. Something different happens as baseball, as a sport evolves. And whoever wins it at the end of the year wins that version of the World Series. Now, I will give less credit, less legitimacy to the awards given out that year. Cy Young, MVP, 60-game season. I don't care about your regular season awards. Yeah, you know what? Hey, Freddie Freeman won that year's MVP. I'm sure he has mixed feelings about winning it. He won it. It's on his ledger. There were no All-Stars that year. That hurt some people. World Series, legit. And I've just wanted to complain about the regular season's awards for a while. So I decided I'm going to take the opportunity right now and be like, those are Mickey Mouse.
Interesting. I mean, I think when you look at those accomplishments, talking about Trevor Bauer as well. Of course, he was a shortened season, also was highly inflated with the sticky stuff. There's no question about that. Talking about spin rates.
He parlayed that into some big money in LA.
Exactly. And he really admitted it for the most part, as he was definitely, that was a part of his plan. But as far as the season as a whole goes, you look at that 2020 season, I still think it is legitimate. You still consider it a World Series trophy. You still consider it a win. You don't delegitimize it or take it away. But I will say that if you're a player out there, you're probably saying to yourself, okay, you look at that 37% of the season. That's a Dodger team that had a 43-17 regular season record. That would have put them on pace to win 116 games. So with that, would you have had some regression? You probably would have. If you look at why the Dodgers didn't win in 2021 and 2022, well, one of the reasons was it was a longer season, and some of their players ran out of gas. Max Scherzer's arm passed away. Julio Urias, he ran out of gas. You saw in 2022, dealing with injuries. Walker Buehler wasn't the same. So anytime you have a marathon of a season, you are going to face attrition. And in 2020, the Dodgers, they were the deepest team. I think that helped them in the NLCS when you were down 3-1 and you have consecutive games. That depth definitely helps you. But I also think, too, that the Dodgers, they were hurt by COVID as much as anyone in the fact that they could have gone down as an all-time team. It's not like they wanted to have a shortened season. They would have preferred a 162-game season where they could have proven themselves in the postseason. But also think, too, it's unique in the fact that from an adrenaline standpoint, you had to go up for every single game with cardboard cutouts in the stands, right? And then 2, you had to play an extra round against that Brewers team. And for me, the biggest kicker, to me, my trump card against any Padres fan out there that was having a parade after a wild card series berth that absolutely would still be celebrating this had they won this year, is that if you look at the teams they played, were those the best teams in Major League Baseball that year? Were the Braves the best team in the National League? Absolutely, you can make that case, right? Were the Tampa Bay Rays a deserving team to be in the World Series? Absolutely, you could say that. So it's not like they went out there and they beat the Marlins, right? And the Pirates and the Oakland A's, or teams where you're saying, oh, this is absolutely fluky. No, they still beat the best teams on their way to a World Series. You still had full series as far as the 5-game division round, the 7-game CS, and the 7-game World Series, and the Dodgers went out there and win. Having said that, though, when you win a World Series, when I look back at that 1988 World Series, which obviously was a long time ago, when I look at the highlights, I think of Tommy Lasorda saying, oh, yeah, right? You think of the parade. When I think of the Lakers in Shaq, can you dig it? Part of the championship experience is the parade. It's seeing Clayton Kershaw probably crushing beers. It's seeing guys with their shirt off going nuts, throwing beer on fans. Can you imagine? Pause. Can you imagine what a championship would be like for the Dodgers in this era? That is, to me, why you want that. And you want to win a World Series at home. The Dodgers, they haven't won a World Series at home since 1963. So I'm still hungry for more, but I just don't think that. When I first said that, Clint, when it said that one of his teammates said that, I thought I was like, wait, did I black out and did Alex Verdugo get traded to the Rangers or something? And he called it a 60 gamer, but I just don't believe you said that.
No, I think again, I think it's creative reporting with something a teammate said in passing that who wasn't on the team. I don't think Corey Seager feels that way at all. Like you already said, you laid out earlier, man. And guys, do chime in the comments.
Yeah, I want to read some of his comments for sure.
And you know, Cody, if you see any good ones in there, let us know. Let him know. Corey he didn't make his career, he didn't make his name, but he became kind of a quiet superstar in that 2020 postseason, like you already said. LCS MVP, World Series MVP. What he hit 9 bombs, 8 bombs, something like that. Like he went off. He went into God mode in postseason, as you've said in many a video in the past. While you guys are here, by the way, subscribe youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Hit the bell, leave a like, leave a comment on all our videos. It helps us out a whole bunch. Get us to the moon, as some people say on the internet. But that postseason made Corey Seager. He was already one of the best, but that put him on the map where a team might consider giving him $325 million.
Exactly. I mean, it did so much for him. And the Dodgers heading into the next season, they offered him a deal that was a little over $250 million. Before he signed with the Rangers, they got close to $300 million. So a lot of that had to do with the fact that, hey, you're a guy who went into that postseason having a reputation as a bad postseason player, as a guy that hit around 200 and you couldn't count on in big spots. He totally flips the script on the narrative. He totally becomes that guy that has that on his mantle, those 2 MVP trophies. But I just don't think this, because I think the camaraderie of that group, too. That was a team that you didn't have all the hired guns, right? You definitely made the trade for Mookie Betts to extend it before the season. But that core, Jock Peterson, Cody Bellinger, Clayton Kershaw, all those guys, Walker Buehler, Will Smith, those are guys that had a lot of mutual respect for each other. If it had been a situation where, let's say, Corey Seager was a Manny Machado, right? He's a midseason trade to the Dodgers, and they go on to win the World Series, and you don't have that link. Maybe he goes out there and says it, but Corey's a nice guy, a good, wholesome dude. I don't think he said this, but if he did, let's say they got the press conference, says, yeah, I did say that. It was a Mickey Mouse ring. He's not going to say it, but
yeah, I don't think he said it. I think there's an inflection. There's just too many moving pieces on this, and I'm interested to see if Corey addresses it in some way, which he might at some point. But 2020 World Series champion, championship, much more legitimate than the 2017 World Series championship. And you guys can take and run with that. What you got for me, Cody?
We have some comments here. Justin Lamas. I'm going to actually make this the Hornitos
Hornitos.
shot taker comment
Ah.
of the show because this is super heaty because he says, he actually disagrees with you guys because he says, we're only mad at Seager because he's right. LA can't win a World Series unless it is a 60 game and in a bubble. 1988 was a long time ago. And then Will W said, World Series is a tournament. 2020 Dodgers won that tournament. That makes it legitimate.
Look, if you think it's a Mickey Mouse trophy, you're just goofy. That's what I always say. And I think the diamonds still shine bright. The World Series trophy is still the World Series trophy, so you can't take that away. But I will say it'd be interesting to see. Let's say the Padres had won a 60-game World Series. Would Dodger fans be out there saying it's a Mickey Mouse ring? You bet your ass they would.
Oh, hell
you
yeah.
100% bet your ass they would.
Yeah.
So that's just the reality. But like I said, it's fine. But hey, we are not satisfied. This organization isn't satisfied. You want more titles. And I think that what truly, let me make this crystal clear. You win a 162-game World Series, that is proof of concept with what the Dodgers have done. I think that continues to drive this organization. I almost look at it as a chip on their shoulder moving forward. Had they won that in a normal regular season, maybe you're saying, maybe we don't make a trade this year. Maybe we do punt on the season, but they still want to win. Just look at the Padres. Look at the Mets. Those are the big spenders. They've also had the biggest collapses, the biggest bust this season. So sustainable winning is definitely the way to go in Major League Baseball, and occasionally you need to go all in, though.
Yeah, the proof of concept thing, I would agree, but I'm going to take the road of disagreeing now because that team is gone. Like everybody, who's left? Kershaw, really? Like Bueller, Julio. Like most of the heart and soul of that team, they're gone. That window closed to prove that proof of concept. So now it's a new one. It's like, hey, we can still do it. We can still go out there with very different pieces and put together a championship caliber club, provided they get one or two more arms somewhere along the way. Real quick before we get out of here, because I did slam, as usual, as we always should whenever we get a chance, I did slam the 2017 World Series championship. I want to get your thoughts real quick about the whole Alex Cora, crying and saying sorry for effing them in the A to JT, to Kenley, apparently 2 years later to Kike Hernandez, because he's just chilling there for however many years on his Boston Red Sox deal, and then he finally gets it. But what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Hey, man, Alex Cora is an absolute scumbag. I think he's really one of the ringleaders of that group. Him and Carlos Beltran, there's no question about it that I think that it's not too late. It is not too late for Rob Manfred to go back and take away that World Series title. He's already said recently, he said in an interview with Time Magazine that he didn't like how he handled it as far as giving those players immunity. I say you go back there, you take away that title. It is fugazi. It isn't real. The Dodgers were absolutely cheated, and I think that would absolutely take away any sting that any Dodger fans would have about the legitimacy of that 2020 title. This is an organization that should have won multiple titles in this run, and I think that the Dodgers have been cheated. I think Alex Cora, he shouldn't work in baseball. He should not be working baseball. I mean, this is a guy who is a serial manipulator, not on just like two different teams. I mean, perpetually he's looking right now, he's looking for that next way to cheat. I guarantee you, he's looking for that next way to cheat at the iPad store, at the Apple Watch store.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a bunch of baloney, and his team really isn't having any success. So,
I mean, yeah, Cora, Hinch, these are a couple of dudes who should not be in baseball. What you got for me, Cody? I saw some excitement.
We have a super chat.
We got to start doing that just to make sure that we hopefully find it in time, because we don't get to hear the music in our ears. We got to probably fix that, but it is what it is. What do you got?
Craze 951 says it took us more games to win that piece of metal. I don't know who he's talking about.
So in 2020, it was instead of the usual, you have to win 11 games. They had to win 13 because there was the forced wild card, which eventually now has led to this sort of newfangled postseason style the Dodgers have. But yeah, there's another reason why it makes it even more legitimate and harder to have won that 2020 World Series. You had to win more games against the best teams in baseball. So
for sure.
Let's move.